It's the matchup presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Travis Fulton. Thank you for making us part of your day. He's back, folks. I know you recognize that face, that background, that smile. He should be smiling because he's been taking everybody's damn money over the last 2 months, but he's been helping a lot of people with his packages too, I should say, make a lot of money. He's been on a heater, and he's been on the show twice, and he can attest we've smoked it both times on this show, including him hitting the round one leader. Each time he's back, beating the bookie. How you doing, my man?
It's great to be back. I'm doing fantastic. I got a little banged up at the Palmetto last week. Unlike you, who had Higo at 50-1, I had Hadley, so got a little banged up there in the final round, but just getting ready for the U.S. Open. This is a tournament that's like no other really in the U.S., so I'm just looking forward to it, and I'm hoping to have a great week.
Higo's 75-1. I've already hit him. So look, I've been on the Higo train for months, and that felt good. Get one there at I had him at 47-1, and I was happy to see him get the W. You make a good point. The U.S. Open, it's one of the big ones. When I was young, I think I looked at it as the biggest one. I would even put it ahead of the Masters. I think the Masters has since moved past that. U.S. Open, I feel like kind of lost its identity there for a little while, but I do feel like they're getting it back. And I think this will be a big step with the golf course of Torrey Pines, where they were back in 2008. And of course, Tiger hobbling around on one leg beats Rocco Mediate, who will be on the podcast right here on Thursday. So don't miss that. He's an absolute trip, telling stories one after the other. That'll be fun. But we're back again. You look at this course, the Farmers is there. So many things are different. It's a par 71 now to start with. We know it's longer, 7,700. We know the rough is going to be much thicker. The greens are going to be quicker. There's just a lot of different things. Do you put any stock into looking at how the guys did when they were there earlier in the year to maybe how they might play it this year?
Not really. They changed the one par 5 into a par 4. So they made it, the par 70 and 71, like you said. But the USGA, they're out to prove a point. They don't want anybody shooting 10, 12 under on their course. So I think it's going to start off exceptionally hard, like usual. And I think we'll see the winner around maybe 6, 8 under. I definitely think more guys under par than the last U.S. Open. Just because, for viewing, I don't think they want another golfer winning by 6 shots like Bryson did.
Right.
So I think they'll make it a little bit easier than in New York last year, but I think it'll still be pretty hard with those, narrow fairways, and they're going to make you pay if you miss the fairway. They're going to make you pay. So I'm looking for a guy who's accurate off the tee, someone who's accurate with irons, that kind of player for this weekend. So there's obviously a bunch of those guys that fit the bill at the top. So I definitely think that they're out to prove a point, and I'm looking forward to it. You really never know what they're gonna, you never know what they're gonna bring to the table when they're doing this layout for this. We could see another 3 rounds where guys just struggle, and then the 4th round they might make those greens nice and easy. So you just never know what they're going to do, and I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, there is a certain level of, where you can't really predict too much. It's kind of hard to get a feel how long the rough's going to be. It's always really long when they get there, Sunday, Monday, and then they start to do some things. And, it's interesting. It sounds like on 7 holes, they're going to do the graduated rough out, but then on other holes, they're not. And then you kind of get the sense that the rough's going to be longer as you get closer to the greens. So there's some interesting things happening there. The one thing for sure that will play into this, is the POA greens. That will be there, and that's anytime you start saying that word, it's a wild card right into the flat stick and who can handle those. And then the Kikuyu grass is definitely going to play a factor. I was listening to my friend Aaron Oberhoser on Golf Channel. He was talking about how there's like 4 or 5 different grasses around the green and just how inconsistent and depending upon how the ball gets in there. So there's certainly a level of luck as well that you're going to see here. You're going to see a ball go into the rough and the guy's going to play out of it no problem. And then it's going to go into the rough and the guy's going to be like, I can't even see my ball, right? And he's going to be like 2 feet from where that guy just was. So it's, you know, you got to get a few breaks here and there for sure in the U.S. Open. So let's get into it. You know how we do it here. We're going to go through each range. And we're going to give you some thoughts here. It's U.S. Open. Spend maybe a little bit more time here and give you our thoughts on as many players as we can. And then really just kind of give you who we're really looking at as our kind of top play from each region. And of course, in fantasy, you know, we're going to play multiple cards. So, you know, in the top range, if we like a Koepka, we might lead him into some lineups with obviously some people underneath him, but that doesn't mean Koepka is going to be in every one of our cards, but certainly is one of the top players in that level of pricing. So in the top level, we have a Jon Rahm, 11,200 leading it off. You know, he'll be focused.
That's my
Spieth.
That's my boy.
10-9.
Right there.
Yeah. Spieth is 10-9, DJ 10-7, Shambo 10-4, and Brooksy 10-1. So of those 5, who's your boy?
I'm going to have to go with the chalk here. I'm going to go with Jon Rahm. I think after being forced to withdraw from the Memorial, I think he is pissed. You know, giving up 1.7 million when he could have just, you know, if he was here in Florida, we could have just put a pool noodle in the cup and he could have went out there and played the final round by himself. But he wasn't. And he cost himself, you know, a $1.7 million payday.
Yeah.
I think he's coming out. He's angry. He was asymptomatic, so he didn't have any symptoms. So he's practically fully healthy. He had last week off, so he's fully rested. And I think this is the perfect layout for him because I think he is that like one golfer who, like we saw him do at the Memorial, he can break the simulation of the course and he could go like a 12 he could go a 12 under, something that the course designers didn't want happening. I think he's one of the guys that can break the simulation and go under what the course designers were looking for.
I agree. You know, he can bring a golf course to his knees with his driver. That one club, long and straight, right? He can make that happen. It looked like on Saturday in Columbus, he finally got it going. Like he just finally was out of neutral as he had been, and he rolls off 6 birdies on the back, and he gets the news when he walks off the green.
And an ace.
Jon Rahm is certainly
and an ace. Yeah.
What's that?
And an ace. So,
and an ace, yeah, absolutely. You know, Spieth at 10-9, he's won an Open before, U.S. Open. You know, he hasn't done much, obviously, in years now leading up to this through his struggles. I don't know if I trust the driver at that price for Spieth. I feel like, yes, it's better. The iron game is getting back to world class. We know the short game is there, but I feel like the driver still can be a question mark. And at that price, we're looking for someone to win. DJ showed some form, made a triple late, but it was certainly the best finish we've seen in the calendar year. Believe it or not, his first top 10. So he's starting to move the right way. Bryson at 10-4, the defending champ. I think the one thing you got to look at here versus Winged Foot is I do think at Winged Foot, Bryson was able to kind of hack it out and kind of chase it up to those greens. Where I think with Torrey, I don't think he's going to be able to do that as much. I think the greens are a little more elevated in the way that they're designed. So I do think it's going to be more difficult. Although he was above average in fairways hit, Bryson's still kind of looking for that touch in the approach game and around the greens. And then there's Koepka, who was second, you know, at the PGA. So there's a lot there. I think for me, I'll probably start some cards in the 9,000s, and we'll get to that here in a second. But I think the guy that I'm going to trust the most here, that I feel like if he can just polish up the approach game, will be DJ. So I'll give you DJ at 10-7 against your Rahm at 11-2. What do you think Koepka's going to do? You think? I mean, I mean, for crying out loud, we've got a second and 2 firsts here in 3 of the last 4 years. Missed the cut last week, but he probably doesn't even care about that, does he?
Yeah, I think he maybe had some sponsor commitments or he had to go last week and play, but Koepka's a gamer, and we see it at every major pretty much. Besides the Masters this year, he's done great in majors. So I think Koepka's a gamer. I think having the Saturday and Sunday off really helped him. If you watched him play on Friday, I watched him his entire round. I don't really think he was trying to make the cut so much. I don't think he was trying to do terrible. It looked like to me he was trying to work on some things that maybe he needed to work on. And he actually said that after the round. So Koepka's a gamer, and that's one guy that, if I had to put my money on one guy at a US Open or a PGA Championship, it's going to be Koepka, because I know he's going to show up, and he's just a competitor, especially now with his Brooks feud. I think he really wants to prove himself. And he's having his best season, like most consistent season. He's got he's got seven made cuts.
Yeah.
He's made 7 of 13 cuts, and 5 of those times he's made the cut, he's finished in the top 10. So when he makes the cut this season, he finishes inside the top 10, and I think he will finish inside the top 10 for sure this week. And the score being, -8, -7 for the winner, I think that helps him significantly.
Yeah. Rahm's 10-1, DraftKings Sportsbook, Bryson 15, Dustin 15, Koepka 19, Spieth 19. Yep. I think I'll probably I could easily just pick 2 names, go heavy on both of them, and be done with it here, at the US Open. And I think Rahm and DJ are certainly the 2 that I would probably look at, and Koepka would be right in there in third. All right, so as we move on here, and now we start getting into the 9,000s. In the 9,000s is Rory McIlroy, ladies and gentlemen. You don't see that very often, 9,900. You don't see JT at 97 very often either. Morikawa 95, Xander 93, Victor 92, Cantlay 91, Reed, 1 year before, at 9,000. Not the U.S. Open, but he's won the Farmers Insurance. You look at that, and you look at those names. The name that I just can't get my eyes to go past is Rory, because we know the ceiling, right? We know the ceiling with Rory. And he's won a U.S. Open before. It's interesting, the only guy that hasn't won a U.S. Open in the top 6 names there that we've talked about is Rahm, and he's the favorite. But Rory, T8 last year, T9 in 2019. I'm certainly looking at him. JT, I still feel like is working through some things. I see a guy who's in between with his putter as he's changed putting coaches. I'm not comfortable with JT right now, but I certainly could let myself go to Morikawa as I did 2 weeks ago, heavy to win, but he forgot how to hit the ball on Sunday. He didn't get it done. Where are you going there?
Yeah, that was disappointing when, in the playoff, Cantlay teed off over in the thick stuff. And Morikawa, he was in the sand, but he should have, used an iron, got up on the green. I was kind of disappointed on his second shot with that hybrid. So Morikawa, I'm not really sold on his putting stroke right now. I don't know why he changed putting strokes, to be honest. It's like all these guys, it's like they're trying to come up with something new all the time, something better. But I think he should have just stuck with what works. But with that said, in this price range, I do love Collin Morikawa. I mean, for his driving accuracy, he's first on greens and regulations. So tee to green, he's first. Approach to the green, he's first. Just his putting, he's 167th in strokes gained putting this year. So his new claw grip, it hasn't worked for him. So I'm not sure how long he's going to stick with that, but I definitely like him for his accuracy. I think, at a U.S. Open, you're going to have to be very accurate. They're not going to let a bomber beat them. So I do love Colin Morikawa in this price range.
Well, I think with Morikawa, you're just gonna have to hit him on those good weeks. And Memorial, he was +5 putting, and then the 4 before that he was in the negative, and then the last time he was positive was at WGC Mexico, where he was +4 and he wins. So you just have to pick those moments. I just felt like he had a good track record at Memorial and putting. Obviously, he won the workday there. So I feel like with his ball striking and anything in the +3 he has a chance to win, and he did. And his ball striking let him down on Sunday, which you don't expect.
Yeah.
But you certainly, the one thing with Morikawa, he's like Rahm. He can bring a course to its knees with his ball striking, and he can wear it out. And then it's just, it's the law of averages. He's going to make 1 or 2. Like he's just too good of a player. Now, is he going to clip him off at the rate of others? Historically, no. But when you live in +7 approach, I mean, that's just a dominant number. And his driving, I feel like, has consistently gotten better too. So you have to weigh that out. Can he do enough with the putter? I think Cantlay, to me, and Schauffele have the most to prove here in this group. And I think they know that too. I think they know their next step is to win a major, right? Like they've won 4 times, but they're world-class players. And Schauffele has been in the top 6 in the last 4 years in the US Open. So it's weighing on him. He hit the ball in the water at the Masters on 16, fell back to 3rd when he was making a little bit of a run to Matsuyama. But I just feel like, all right, these guys know, we're world-class players. We know we can win this. Now can they go out and get it done? And I think of those two, man, I think I would pick Cantlay over Schauffele. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I would pick Cantlay over Schauffele also, because if you look at Schauffele's history in majors, he gets those top 10 finishes, but he melts down a lot. And then you have he melts down in those critical spots. Like at the Masters, for example, when he took a shot, that was unnecessary and, went into the water. He melts down at untimely instances. And I think Cantlay is a lot more consistent. And Schauffele, Schauffele's played 6 rounds here at Torrey Pines. He's missed the cut 4 times. And then he has a 25th place finish and a 2nd place finish. So I know the course is different this time around, but still it's the same venue. And I feel like maybe he knows he's missed the cut 66% of the time there. So that might be in his head. And he's going to be a favorite with players this week. Everybody loves Schauffele for majors, but he's just one guy he's just one guy that I have no interest in backing at 15-1 or in this price range. Really, if I play Schauffele this weekend, I'll be fading him, but I'll probably just pass altogether.
15-1. I don't know how do you play that? There ain't no way you could play that to win. This is at DraftKings Sportsbook. Then you got Rory sitting at 21-1, who's by the way, has won major championships, and won this year. It's just, and then Cantlay at 22, JT at 22. I think people are a little scared of JT right now. They know the iron game's world class, but they just know the putter can be so bad.
It's been terrible.
Yeah, it's been like Morikawa. He's kind of, I don't want to say he's turning into that, but they're kind of in the same breed right now. It's like, okay, you either get the JT that you got at the Players, where it just looks like he's putting to the damn ocean, or it looks like there's no hole in the ground, and he just can't hit the hole from 5 feet.
What's amazing with both of those guys is last year at the, I forget what tourney it was at last year, but I had JT to win, and JT sank like a 55-foot putt on 18, I think. And Morikawa needed to sink like a 35-foot putt to send it to a playoff. And I'm thinking there's no way Morikawa is going to make this. And he nailed it. Both those guys hit huge putts. And now both those guys can't even buy a putt.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how their putting game comes and goes. But between those two players, I would definitely go with, Morikawa over JT, because JT, he can't put together like back-to-back good rounds. He's kind of like Rory. He'll come out, say he'll shoot like a 1 over, 2 over for the first round. Second round, he might come out and shoot a 30 on the front nine, and then finish, 5 under for the second round. But then the third round, he might blow up again. So he's having trouble putting together like a full weekend of, really good rounds. It's same story with Rory. So I think Morikawa is the more consistent of those guys. So that's why I like him in this price range.
Let me ask you this. Victor, the only two we haven't talked about, Hovland and Reed. Hovland is 92. Yeah. Reed is 9,000. We know Reed likes this place. We know Reed, you look at, let's see, he was T13 last year. He had a 4th and 18. So he's had some success at the U.S. Open. Hovland, we know, U.S. Amateur champion and 2 top 13s in his first 2 U.S. Opens. Of those two, are you going to go with the experience, or are you going to go with this young gun who has, certainly has success with USGA kind of atmospheres?
Yeah, it's not even a question for me. I'm going to go with Patrick Reed.
Okay.
Because he's been there. Hovland, how many times is Hovland going to go into a weekend in the top 5 and then just blow up? It's been happening a lot lately. Somebody actually tweeted last week. They told me it was the curse of the Puerto Rico Open with Hadley also. So I would definitely go with Reed here, because this is a perfect course for Patrick Reed, where the winner could be 6, 8 under. And I think Patrick Reed fits that mold very well. He's definitely a more consistent golfer than Hovland. I mean, Hovland can come out, he can go 5 under through the first 5 holes, but then he could triple bogey on the 6th and just go downhill from there. So I'll take Patrick Reed just for his consistency over Hovland.
Yeah, and he's certainly a better short game player too, Patrick Reed, and saving those clutch pars. But it's interesting, when Reed won the Farmers, the guy that finished second with Hovland. So, he's kind of had some success here. When you look at the splits, historically, Hovland not as good on POA. Reed certainly, I think, more experience there with POA greens and more success, although they both played well at the Farmers. So Reed showed some good form at Memorial, finished 5th. And it was his best iron game, his best ball striking of the year from the approach game. So I think he's probably feeling pretty good coming in. I'm probably going to lean with you that way. But your one pick in the 9s or what in the head-to-head? Who's your one guy?
My one guy is Morikawa.
Morikawa, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, God, his ball striking can be so damn dominant, right? I'm going to give you Rory. I am. I just, my resources and feelings here with Rory under the radar. I'm going to be starting some lineups right there at 9,900 with Rory McIlroy. All right, let's come on down to the 8s. So here we go. Let me give you the lineup.
You're flipping a coin.
Huh?
I said you're flipping a coin with Rory. You never know which one's going to show up.
Yeah, I know. I've been okay on the coin flips, though. Like, kind of when to get in and not. And I think I'm going to get in on Rory this week. So 89 is Finau. Matsuyama, 88, the Masters champion. He could play U.S. Opens, folks. Gosh, he's been in the top 21 the last 4 years, including a second T17. Anyway, Webb Simpson, he's won a U.S. Open. Will Zalatoris finished 6th last year, 8,600. Scheffler, 85. Berger, I'd put in that same category as Cantlay and Schauffele. Next step, let's go, 8,400. Tyrrell Hatton, 83. Connors, 82. Louis, 81. That's disrespectful. Justin Rose, 8,000. Cameron Smith, 8,000. Take me to a couple names there.
A couple names I like is I'm going with Decky, first of all.
Okay. All right.
I think it's straight disrespectful to have Matsuyama at 8,800. He's a gamer also.
Yeah.
And he plays these courses really well. And if he's on his game, he's another guy like Jon Rahm that could bring the course to its knees, at least for one round. I mean, come out and shoot a 64 in a round, I wouldn't be surprised at all because he's done it so many times, you know, at the TPC, at the Masters, stuff like that. I definitely like Matsuyama. I mean, to have Tony Finau you know, with costing more money than Matsuyama, I think that's just straight disrespectful right there. But you know, Matsuyama doesn't get disrespected. You know, he doesn't. He's a really nice guy.
Right.
So, you know, I like Matsuyama as my best golfer in this price range.
Gosh, you know, what's interesting with Matsuyama is that since the Masters, we've only seen him a few times, but the dude's like, is he putting with like the back of the grip? Like he's so bad right now with the putter again. I mean, and his ball striking so good. We know he can go. I mean, again, there's a guy right there. If you pick the putting week, you're in, you know, because he's going to give it to you tee to green. And I'll tell you what, I think he's one of the most underrated short game players in the game. I really do. That dude can hit some shots around the green. Yeah, he's definitely getting disrespected with Finau there. Finau is a guy that when you look at, I think Torrey Pines, he's had a lot of success there. This is a different venue, I know that, but just the property itself, he's done well there. U.S. Open's couple top 10s. I just, I'm probably gonna pass. I'm gonna come down and save a couple hundred. I think Webb's getting closer. I think Webb had some neck injuries. I know he's given up some distance, and that's can be problematic. We had his caddy Paul Tesori on the podcast yesterday, and he kind of gave us an update on the course and just how they're going about strategically. I just get the feeling Webb is kind of like, Rahm, just stuck in neutral a little bit, had the injury. And I think now he's starting to come out of it. And it's like, okay, let's see that best golf out of Webb. He hit the ball and putted good at the PGA. He was iron game. Off the tee, he struggled a little bit. But I think they've worked that out. That was a little bit of a outlier. And he's very good on putt. He just seems to be very good out there. Of course, he won his U.S. Open there in the California area. So I'm kind of leaning on Webb. Do you think Will can kind of get it back on the horse? He's cooled off a little bit, right? We ready for Will to get back out there?
Well, going back to Webb, I also love Webb. The only thing he had going wrong for him in his game is that beard he was growing. It did seem like when he started growing that beard and he wasn't playing very well. So I hope it's totally shaved off for this. But Webb is one of those guys that every big tournament I play, he's a guy that I automatically bet to be the first round leader because he comes out hot so often. Yeah. So I'll definitely be playing him for first round leader. But yeah, going to Zalatoris, I mean, this is a guy who can't even picture on the DraftKings app. There's no picture for Will Zalatoris.
I think 46 to 1 to win right now.
Well, you can have that. You can have that all day because I think his hype train after his first few starts of the year, the hype train was really rolling well on him. But he just hasn't taken that next step to be dominant. He's just like a top 10 guy, like a Tony Finau.
Yeah.
But I don't see him challenging guys to win tournaments. So in this price range, Zalatoris is not a guy that, I'm going to back.
Right.
He could have a good week, but I feel like he's so small that he just doesn't have it to win a tournament. And when I play guys, I'm just looking for guys who have the ability to win the tournament. And I just don't see that on Zalatoris.
He's definitely cooled off, from his hot start. I think I'm going to probably pass on the 86, especially with Webb there at 87. That's definitely my guy there in the top range. And then, you start moving down to Scheffler at 85. We've seen signs from Scheffler. Is he ready at 85? I'll probably pass. Berger, I think U.S. Open wise, he had the top 10 in 2018. He's, kind of not even, he hasn't been much in the hunt outside of that. His short game is what really concerns me. He's a good putter, but his, Berger just that short game magic, right? That you need. And I just don't think Berger's there yet when it comes to that. Hatton's had a little success. He was T6 back in 2018 with Berger. 2018.
He's my favorite. Huh? He's my favorite.
You like Terrell?
I love when I can get the PGA Tour live and it's just Tyrrell Hatton's group.
Okay.
I love to hear him yell at himself because he spends the entire round like just yelling at himself. He'll hit like a bad shot and he'll just start laughing and he'll be like, "That was so bad! Like, oh my, what am I doing? Like, that is so bad, Tyrrell." And he'll just laugh at himself. I think he's one of the best watches to just watch play, especially if he was mic'd up. I think it's pretty fun to watch him play, but he's really inconsistent, wildly inconsistent. He could start off the round, 6 under through the front 9 and then go 4 over through the next 3 holes. So he's wildly inconsistent for me.
Terrell hit the ball good enough last week to win at Palmetto and lost 3, finished second, tied for second in putting. So that's a good sign. And his splits on POA are good. I look at this group, and I'll definitely be sprinkling some money on Webb Simpson to win at 50 to 1.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find Tyrrell Hatton's odds right now on SportsBing or the draft book or the sports book here from DraftKings. Tyrrell Hatton 40 to 1. So he's getting some play. There's Louis at 40. I wouldn't touch that. Although I think Louis down in the 8,100 is a great play in fantasy. I mean, the guy's a U.S. Open, genius when it comes to just navigating what it takes to play U.S. Opens and finish high. I mean, he's got a 3rd last year, T7. He's up there always making the cut. Strokes gained total, you look at him at U.S. Opens, I mean, he's in the top in the last 5 years. He is 3rd. I mean, so the dude knows how to play U.S. Opens. I mean, I don't know how you can't play Louis Oosthuizen at 8,100. I know Rose is at 8,000. He's won a U.S. Open. He's played well. He's had some signs here and there. T3rd back in 19. But, I mean, that low range, how do you not play Louis?
I love Louis. His number 1 strokes gained putting. He's got 3 top 7 finishes in his last 4 events with that 2nd place at PGA. I don't know if I would bet him to win, but definitely for 8,100, I'm putting him in my lineup.
Yeah.
And here's a little tip. If you want to bet Louis on DraftKings, you can bet exact the results. So you can bet 1st and 2nd. So whoever you think is going to win, bet them to get 1st and take Louis to get 2nd because he's allergic to 1st place.
Oh man. Yeah, he's a tough one to bet on. Although
he jokes he jokes about it too.
Yeah, in his defense. Well, no, wait, no. Louis did hit it in the water in the match at Zurich. Yeah. Didn't he? That was Louis. Charles was his partner. Yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
My bad. He did. Thank God he finished. Thank God he did hit in the water because I had Cam and Leishman on a win ticket, so I was really happy to see that. But
I get him. He actually jokes about how he gets 2nd place so much. He jokes about it. So, if he can find humor in it, I can too. But it would be great to see him win.
It would.
It would be great to see him take on these days.
He's never won in the United States ever.
Nope.
That's crazy. It's crazy to say that. That's crazy. His only PGA Tour win, quote, is the Open Championship.
Yeah.
That counts as but anyway, that's that. Yeah, I don't think Connors is ready yet. Again, I think there's more maturity there from a short game and putting. I like Connors. I like his ball strike. I think he's shown the progress. I don't know if he's ready yet, though. You got to have the whole game here. This is a major, and we talk about this.
Yeah.
And this is where the major championships, especially the U.S. Open, they're going to challenge every part of your game. And those deficiencies, I'm willing to look past the short game in a lot of venues, but not this one. Like this one, you've got to be able to finesse some stuff. And especially if you have that bad ball striking day, which you're probably going to have, you got to hang in there, and I just worry about players like a Connors and a Berger, who their short games to me are not to the level that we're talking about with Matsuyama, right? To me, terrific short game player. Patrick Reed, Cantlay, those guys, to me, their short games are top notch. So in the 8,000s, I think honestly, I'm really liking Webb Simpson at 87. I'll probably sprinkle in Hideki at 88, and I'm definitely in on Louis, and I'll probably sprinkle in some Hatton in there.
Yeah, I'm looking at Matsuyama, Webb Simpson as well, Oosthuizen, and I'll probably sprinkle on Justin Rose just because he's a gamer and he's had some time off. I love Corey Connors. I think he hits his long irons just as good as anybody.
That's true.
But like you said, his putter has just been killing me the last few tournaments. I think Corey was playing too many events. To be honest, he was playing every single weekend. So I think it's good he's taking a little time off. But yeah, I'll definitely take like a Louis over Connors in a DFS setup.
As we move into the 7,000s, it's always interesting to look at. I like to use Fantasy National, and you can build models. You can kind of parse out individual stats on what you think's important. And we know strokes gained approach is such a huge stat, and then you can move the other ones around how you see it. But you mentioned that those long irons, there's going to be some par threes, a lot of par threes between over the 200 clip. So how do they play those shots? We know there's going to be some long iron shots, right, that you want to value here. I also think you got to look at that proximity around 100 to 125, because I do think you're going to see a lot of guys punching out to their numbers, right? So the guys that don't have the length and the strength, when they do get it, they're going to have to wedge it out and then go from there. So I do think that's worth a look. Cameron Smith is a guy that comes to mind. When you look at longer par threes, he does very well. And then his proximity from 100, 125, he's pretty well. So you can see where the deficiency may be off the tee for Cameron, but then he can make it up with some iron game. And he's a wonderful short game player. And I think he's playing the best golf of his career. I think Cameron Smith is a really interesting name here. I really do. I just, I want to take a little closer look at him as we round out the 8,000s. All right, let's move on. 7,000. Abraham Answer kicks it off. You ready to play him at 7,900? He rates out well last 24 rounds. He's been playing some good golf. Why don't you stop me where you like?
Yeah.
I'm going to go down this list. You stop me.
Abe's been playing some great golf. It's another guy that struggles with consistency. He put together, he shot a 64 in the final round of the PGA.
Yep.
But the first couple of rounds, he just struggled. It's like he's slow to get into the tournament. And then he has that one bad round where he blows up. I just wish he was a lot more consistent. But definitely in this price range, he's a good play. He's a good play.
He's been playing good, and he strokes gained par 4. When you look at it, last 24 rounds, he's number 2 in this field. So he does well there. His short game is always a question mark. I do think it's gotten better. I think he's worth a look. Paul Casey 79, Fleetwood 78. Can you tell me why everybody likes Tommy Fleetwood? Everybody. Like, I don't get it. It's like, what?
He's one of my least favorite golfers to bet. Every time I bet him, he loses. Every time I bet against him, he beats me. So Tommy Fleetwood, it's another wildly inconsistent guy who you never know which Tommy Fleetwood's going to show up. I think he's having, some of the worst years of his career lately. So Tommy Fleetwood is a guy that I'm not looking to back in any fashion. If I'm going to bet, it's going to be betting against him. But he's a guy that I'm just not backing, whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, he had a success. 2018 he was second. 2017 he's fourth. I just don't feel like he's the same player. Last couple of years, he gets a lot of hype. His short game's been good. I'm out on on Fleetwood. Let's keep moving down here. So we've got Fitzpatrick, who, you know, has a couple top 12s last 3 years in U.S. Open. He's always an interesting name. I find I have a hard time getting behind Fitzpatrick. I don't know why. I think I'd rather come down to Burns and say, all right, let's take the next step. Sammy Burns, 77. You ready for him?
I didn't want to say I was going to take Burns because I know you're like the president of his fan club.
Hey,
but
no one's touted Burns and Higo more than I have in the last 5 months. That's for sure.
I mean, you know, a few months ago, people didn't even know who Sam Burns was.
Right.
You know, but if you go back to, you know, if you go back to the Texas tournament where he's, you know, winning and stuff in the Zurich, and this is a guy that was playing the most dominant golf on tour for like a month. Mm-hmm. You know, he was dominating for a month, and then he had that really bad round. I think where did he have that bad round at? And he pulled out of the tournament with an injury.
Hold on.
Yeah. Maybe like in Texas, the AT&T or something like that.
Was it Colonial?
It might have been, but I think he was just having a bad day and he pulled out. I'm not really sure if he's injured. But he's been so hot that he's definitely a guy in the 7,000s that I think is undervalued. I'm really not sure why he's in this range. He's with guys like Tommy Fleetwood, because you know, straight up, I would take Burns to just destroy Fleetwood, because you know Burns has been there before. He knows what a win feels like. Tommy Fleetwood doesn't. Same with Fitzpatrick and stuff. So in this price range, Burns is definitely a guy that I can get behind. Yeah,
me too. Valspar won, second at Byron, 50 at the Memorial. Let's see. Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, the only thing with Burns, I think, is, you know, he's a Southern guy. I love him on Bermuda. Poa is his second best split. You know, it's like this next step thing for Burns, right? Is he ready to take that next step? He hasn't had a lot of success yet. U.S. Open. Yeah. I do think one thing I do think with Burns, and the reason that I was like touting him for a long time was, and I know his coach, Brad Pullen, who out of Louisiana, who I had on the podcast. And the reason I was so big on Burns was like, he's long and he's a great iron player, you know, and he can putt, especially on Bermuda. So it's like, okay, I'll look past short game, but will I look past it here? And I look at him as of late. I think his short game's gotten better. So I think I'm ready to throw Burns in. I don't know if I want to play him to win, but I'm definitely ready to throw him in here into fantasy at 7,700. There's Mickelson. Speaking of 7,700, Phil Mickelson is here.
Speaking of Sam Burns, like, I think he's taken that next step this year.
Yeah.
I mean, by winning, he showed that he's not scared of guys.
Right.
He's not scared of anyone. So I kind of like his attitude. He knows he can win now. And when you know you can win, you're dangerous. Like, you know, just like Phil Mickelson, like you're going to talk about right now. He's dangerous right now. So
he is dangerous. And he knows Torrey Pines, although it's changed since he was a kid. He's won here before. I think he's won Torrey 3 times in his career. I mean, you could certainly convince me to play him in fantasy. Turns 51 Wednesday. Is he going to win it? No.
I mean, it sets up perfectly for him with like a low scoring winner. He hasn't had much. I still have no idea. He hasn't had much. PGA. I don't know. He hasn't had much success here, but he's taken some time off. He's definitely enjoyed himself. So I think he was 70-1. There's definitely worse bets for 70-1 that you can do with your money. Because, you know, if we're sitting here next week and you're like Phil Mickelson, the U.S. Open winner, 70-1, would you be surprised that he won, or you would just be like, oh, I can't believe he won again? You know, I wouldn't be surprised he won, because he definitely has the ability to win. But it's just so hard to do it back to back, you know. And he has those 6 runner-ups at the U.S. Open.
Yep. It's the biggest story. I mean, obviously, if he wins, completes a Grand Slam, I think second biggest story would be Rahm. You know, then it's debatable after that. You know, Brooks and Bryson playing in the final round would probably be right there.
That would be
You know,
great.
you got 70-1, Phil. Adam Scott 70-1. Gary Woodland 70-1. Connors is 75 with Higo. You know, and then you go, God,
Woodland's been
Sam
playing
Burns
better.
110-1.
Yeah.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah.
Holy. All right. Well, let's keep moving. Lowry. I could play
Woodland's
Lowry.
been playing better also, you know. Woodland's been playing better.
He has.
So.
Well, he finally went back to Butch. So it's that dude jumps around like, Gary, stop it. Like, just play your game. Like, he'll go over here, like he's missing something. Then he goes, and then it's like, dude, don't do that. Just stay with Butch, do your thing, let it come to you. Like anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gary's back. I think Gary's, he's certainly, well, he knows how to win a US Open. We know that. And, you know, can he kind of garner enough to get back to that confidence level? As I continue to move down this list here in the sevens, because there's some interesting names here, and we're getting to Gary at 75. Lowry, you know, so there's Lowry at 76, Sunjay 76, Kokrak 76. I like Kokrak. Kokrak at 76. I think I could play Kokrak and Woodland for sure in this range.
I'm still angry that Kokrak beat my Spieth on the final day a few weeks ago. But I think that was more Jordan Spieth choking that tournament away than Kokrak winning. But his putter was just lights out. Mm-hmm. So he's coming in with confidence. I just think this course is a little too hard for him. And Shane Lowry, that's a guy that he'll probably be sitting in the top 10 on Sunday, making a run to finish inside the top 10. That's kind of like how he plays. Sunjay, I mean, he's all over the place. You never know which guy's going to show up.
Yeah.
So, but there is a guy that strikes me like at 7,500 that has the ability to win. You know, Sergio Garcia. He can come out really hot. I think at the AT&T, I tied first round leader with him and Jordan. But Sergio, he's been playing all right. You know, he's been putting it together for a few rounds. And I think, he plays this kind of course well where, a not too low of a score will be the winner. I think he can keep it close, but I just don't know if he can close it out on the weekend.
Yeah. You know, we're getting into that now you got to stretch a little bit right here, and you start getting to these mid to low sevens. And Sergio, man, I just you're going to get it with the ball striking. It's with the putter and all that, and his short game is fine. Neiman in there at 75. He was T23 last year, so he's showing some maturity there. Kokrak's an interesting name. I got to spend a little more time there. I'm excited about the improvement of Kokrak, 2-time winner this year. I'm a little hesitant on Poa with him. And I think you make a valid point. It is a difficult course. His short game is his weakness. I'll spend a little more time there. I don't think I'll play him to win, but I definitely will fit him into some lineups somewhere. Neiman's interesting, 75. We know talented kid, talented ball striker, and one of those guys that I think can bring a course to its knees with his ball strike. I mean, I think he can drive it and strike it like. But it's hard to do that for 4 days, right? You're going to have to get some of the other parts of the game in there. And can he keep those rounds going, or is he going to make silly mistakes that maybe you don't get with some other players as we move down? Is Brian Harmon ready at 74?
It's not a guy. I mean, he has made, 17 out of 19 cuts this year, but yeah, Harmon, I think Harmon's ceiling is like a 20th place finish.
Okay. Well, that's 7,400.
Yeah.
For fantasy, that wouldn't be too bad. Adam Scott, 74.
Lee Westwood.
Well, we're getting down to Lee. We're not there yet. Leash. We know Leash is. I can't play Leishman. I'm sorry. I just can't do it here. Well, we know he's, we know he can play here at this course, Farmers. And Torrey, but again, different course. I just I don't know. I think I have a hard time here with Leishman. I think I would probably, I would definitely in this range at 74. I would definitely go into the Kokrak Woodland a little heavier, and then probably make up some of that in the bottom here. Watson 74, Lee Westwood 73. Kind of cooled off. English showed some signs last week, played like an absolute dog Sunday. Thank you, Harris English, for that, letting my boy Higo win. But some good signs there for Harris. He's got to take some positives away. He was 4th last year, but he was playing great last year. I think I'll probably pass with Harris at 73. I'll pass with Horschel at 73. Homa, California kid. Is he ready?
That's who I like.
Ready to take the next step?
I like Homa on this price range because he has the ability to win it. That's the thing. I'm looking for guys when I'm playing guys in these, lineups or betting these guys in the tournament. I'm looking for guys that have the ability to win it. And I think Homa, he's got 5 top 10s this year. He's a guy that we know can win it. He's won in California. He's a California boy, so he's going to have confidence. So Homa is definitely a guy that I'll be backing in this price range. Okay. Certainly over like a Lee Westwood, Harris English, like you said. Yeah, he's been playing well.
He played well last week.
Yeah, he played well last week. Horschel is just like all over the place. I love Billy Horschel. I always say he's the best dressed golfer on tour. But he's been so inconsistent. Yeah. So
as we kind of work down here to the bottoms of the 7s, I always give you a lot to think about here. And it's just fun to kind of talk through these. And, we've done a lot of research already, but as you go through these on air and, you're certainly getting closer to your final picks, and some are more affirm or a little firmer than others, as you can tell, probably in the way we talk about it. But, there's Si Woo 73, Christian Bezuidenhout 72. Feels like a big course for him.
Yeah.
Brandon Grace 72. Has showed signs, but not much in U.S. Opens. Although a T5 2016, missed the cut the last 2 years. There's my boy Higo. I mean, how do you not play Higo? Like,
where's his picture? He's one of the. He's a young good looking stud. They don't even have a picture. They don't have a picture for him.
Higo at 72. He made the cut at the PGA. Right, wins Palmetto. I mean, I've been telling people, look, dude, the kid's long, great iron player, and he can putt. Like, he's not scared. Like, he knows
exactly.
He's going to make some silly mistakes. Higo. The thing with Higo last week, by the way, go back to his first 2 rounds. Look at how many 8-footers he missed for birdie. I mean, he left 5 or 6 out there, easy. I mean, he was just piercing his irons Thursday and Friday. I mean, in there, 9 feet, 10 feet hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I look for him to make the cut. I mean, I'll play Higo. You know that. I'm a homer, 7,200, but he's playing very well, through the roof confidence. Oh, by the way, number 1 player in the world was in the field. He beat him. And Stuart Sink. Like, that's where I was saying up top, I'll make it up at the bottom here, and because there's some guys that I like here at the bottom. I like Higo and I like Sink, both to make the cut and do well.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to bet Stuart Sink, it's going to be the week after a major, because he seems to win the week after a major, like at the Masters. But Stuart Sink, he's had a career rebirth this year. He's been playing great. I think this course might be a little too long for him, but Higo, I could see playing him because he's going to hit those bomb drives. And his confidence is through the roof right now. He knows he can win. And really, he has there's nothing to hold back this weekend. If he does well, like, he wasn't even supposed to be here, so I think he could play with like a reckless abandon that could allow him to get hot, maybe finish top 20, top 10, something like that. He definitely has the ability. I'd back him before, the next guy on the list, Matthew Wolff, who has had the worst season as a pro. But yeah, Higo and Sink, I definitely back them over Wolff.
You ever think you'd see the guy that finished 2nd in the U.S. Open last year be 225-1 the next year to win?
Yeah, I believe it, because there's something wrong with his game. Either he was injured,
a year makes,
or he has the yips, something like that. I'm just not really sure.
Well, I think Matthew just didn't want to play golf. Like I think he, I don't know this, but to me, it looked like to me that it just got to the point where he was a little burnt out, maybe a little depression settling in, and then you just don't want to be out there and play. And I think you need to take some time away. We'll see where he's at coming back. Hoffman, to me, completely disrespected at 7,200.
Yeah. He's been playing great.
Yeah. I'll play Hoffman for sure. That's what I say. I love the guys in the sevens here. I like Higo. I think, and to your point in sync, dude, that guy's got longer. He hits at 300. I mean, he's long. So I'm okay with Sink. I'm okay with Higo. I'm okay with Hoffman. And I'm okay with Matt Wallace at 7,100. And that's kind of where I'll leave it in the bottom sevens. And I'll just read off the rest of the names. Kuchar, Streelman, Molinari, Ortiz, Palmer, Nash, Schwartzel, Champ, Robert McIntyre, who I think is an interesting name because of his length. Ian Poulter, Matt Jones, Russell Henley, who's an interesting name because we know can pierce it with his irons and had a couple of top 30s, T18, T17. Is there any name that you got to play there? Although I know you love Hoffman, but any of those bottoms there in the sevens?
I always like Kevin Na. I think he's the one guy that has the ability to win any tournament.
Yeah.
I don't understand how Ian Poulter is priced the same as Cameron Champ, who might be fighting for last place again this week. But Cameron Champ, I think Cameron Champ's game has never been in the worst place. So if I'm playing a guy at 7, it's probably Ian Poulter or Kevin Na.
Okay.
Ryan, I think we saw Ryan Palmer like hit his peak already this season.
Yeah.
He's kind of come down a little bit. So I probably won't be playing him, but Kevin Na, Ian Poulter in this price range. Russell Henley, he could put together a good tournament. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, the names that I gave out, Na, Poulter, Hoffman, guys like that, I think they could, easily finish inside the top 20. And that's pretty much what I'm looking for when I get guys in this range. I just want a guy, you just want a guy who can make the cut because you don't want, 4 out of your 5 golfers to make the cut. And then, you're just getting crushed the weekend by someone who had all of their golfers make the cut. So that's what I really look for, guys who will just make the cut at least.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot to chew on there. So I know we kind of threw some names out there, some we don't like and some that we do. All right, let's finish it up. We've got in the 6,000s. The way that we do it is we're each going to give you 2 names that we like here in the 6,000s. I'll let you go first. Give me a name.
I'm going to take my boy ZJ, Zach Johnson. Major winner. He's playing decent this season. He's made 15 of 19 cuts with 3 top 10s. He may not be able to win a tournament these days, like a major. He's not going to win a major, but he could finish in the top 10. Sometimes he gets into that Mr. Consistency mode, where he'll just shoot a 2 under every round and just sneak his way into the top 10. So I like his consistency. And I think he's a gamer for majors. So, Zach Johnson, I like, and then Brendan Steele.
Okay.
I think, Steele, I did like, Sebastian Munoz. He's been playing well lately, but I think this course might be a little too long for him. He plays well at shorter courses. And then another guy who was intriguing last week, who I played in a matchup last week.
Don't say Wilco.
Yeah, I played him in the 3rd round last week, and he shot like a 3 over. And then he came back in the final round and had a great round. So Wilco, he's that bomber, but after what he did to me in round 3 last week, I just don't trust him. So, and look at you have Martin Keimer at 6,900 also.
I know.
But,
who's a Reese Jones specialist, by the way. Martin Keimer is.
Yeah.
I'll give you Wilco. That's my first guy, Nina Bar. I think Wilco's the longest. I think he has the most length in professional golf right now. I think he's longer than Bryson.
He went like 364 in the air last week.
Yeah. He's 21. He's South African. Played very well last week in the top 10, I think. 11. He was T10 or T11. He's just raw. He's just a young pup. and it's just kind of coming at him as it goes right now. But I like him. I think, we don't see much of him over here. We saw Wilco, we saw Higo perform really well. And I know the field was not that great. I get it. Yeah. And this is a much different venue and field, but look,
it was a tough course. It was a tough course.
Yeah. But these kids but the ball's going to be bouncing too. The ball, the ball's going to be bouncing. You got that ground game a little bit with some rough, but I'm okay with Wilco at 68 making the cut. And I'll give you a couple other names to consider here. Guido, I think, is an interesting name. Migliozzi from the European Tour. I think a very talented player, Italian 24-year-old. And I'm really intrigued by Cameron Young, who's won twice on the Korn Ferry Tour. And you want to talk about an athlete playing golf? This dude is a big boy. He can hit it. I mean, he is stupid long. In fact, I might reconsider that statement with Wilco, because Cameron Young can hit it. I mean, he is a big, big kid, and he's playing very well right now on the Korn Ferry Tour. These are some interesting names down in the 6,000s. Now, they don't have a lot of experience. I get that. And I'm not saying that those are exactly the ones I'm going to play, but I think I will. Well, I do think I'll sprinkle Wilco in, Guido in. I think I'll sprinkle Cameron in. And because we do see these stories play out some at the U.S. Open. And length is going to play here. I mean, length is going to have some value, and these guys can really bust it out there. As I just pull up
another guy I like in this price range, if I had to play another one, would be like Jonathan Vegas. He's been playing some
pretty, I was going to. Yep.
Pretty good golf.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to win a tournament.
Yep.
But he can be right there on a Sunday making a charge like we saw last week. So I think he's definitely a good price. Certainly I would play Vegas over like Lanto Griffin. So I think that's pretty disrespectful for Vegas to be at 6,800.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach is a very solid play. I mean, he is a veteran that knows how to get things. He knows how to get it around and manage this. And I gave you some young pups to consider there. But if you want to go, I think a little more of an experience route, I think Zach is certainly the play. I think McKenzie or Henrik Stenson, who's shown a little bit more form. We know he can get around a little bit when it's there. A couple top 10s there, 19 and 18. Another experienced guy. And I'll just, and then I'll also throw in, I lost my Bern Wiesberger, another European who I think can make the cut here, who has for 3 of the last 4 years had a T16 back in 2017. Bern's kind of up and down, but I looking for a guy to make the cut. I think he's another one to consider. Vegas played very well last week, very well. So he's showing some form coming in. So much to look at here. Hopefully, Ches Reavie T3rd back in 2000. How the hell does that happen? Guy can't hit it out of his shadow. How's he making it here at the U.S. Open? A lot to consider here. Torrey Pines, U.S. Open. Hopefully, we gave you some good feedback. It's time to do a little more research, fill out some lineups here, but probably won't get them all out there till the end of the day on Wednesday. Learn a little bit more about the course. But those are some names to consider. Any final thoughts as we part ways?
If I had to give one winner, I'm going with Jon Rahm.
Johnny Rahm.
And if I had to give a last place, Cameron Champ. So those are my 2 plays.
And who was your first round leader? You gave me a name. Webb.
Webb Simpson, always first round leader. Okay. Auto play. Him and Keegan Bradley, always auto plays.
Putting it in right now. First round leader. Beating the bookie, you're the best, buddy. This has been fun. We'll be in touch this week. Best of luck to everybody out there.
Thanks for having me on.